A shapeless memory lingers in us still, and sometimes when our sight is turned within, earth's ignorant veil is lifted from our eyes. There is a short, miraculous escape. Our souls can visit in great lonely hours still regions of imperishable light, all seeing eagle peaks of silent power, and moon flame oceans of swift, fathomless bliss and calm immensities of spirit space. In moments when the inner lamps are lit and the life's cherished guests are left outside, our spirit sits alone and speaks to its ghost.
Welcome, everyone. We're reading in Book 1, Canto 4, The Secret Knowledge. This mic is a little loud, I think. We're on page 60 at the break. We've read through the entire canto, and now we'll go back to discuss. In this canto, we're being given the secret knowledge that Aswapati has gained in his yoga up to this point, which was presented in Canto 3. He already has had a very high spiritual realization, realizing both the passive spirit, the passive Brahman, and the dynamic Brahman. And in this Canto 4, up to this point, we've been shown that there are two ends of existence, the spirit above and matter and the inconscient below, and that the aim is to unite these two ends of existence. And these two ends of existence are also within us, within the typical human being. I mean, we're born in this material world and we have these kind of material lives. Our consciousness is normally turned outside to that outer physical world. But if we turn within, Sri Aurobindo tells us that we can also enter into these inner and higher worlds of existence and into the spirit. So he's been describing both aspects of our existence, both this outer existence, which seems to kind of go on without aim, with struggle and suffering and pain. But also, if we could turn within, we could experience this bliss of the spirit and its great powers, its great knowledge. And now he is going to kind of turn to this explanation that it is actually the spirit that underlies this existence in which we find ourselves, in this outer life. That actually this too is the spirit, is a manifestation of the spirit. So we will pick up now on page 60 at the break. And perhaps Helmut, you could begin.
All here, where each thing sees its lonely self, are figures of the
At the break.
transcendent one.
It's a break. Okay.
All here, where each thing sees its lonely self, are figures of the soul transcendent one. Only by him they are. His breath is their life. An unseen presence molds with oblivious clay. A playmate in the mighty mother's game. One came upon the dubious working blow to hide what pursuit and force and form. A secret spirit with inconscient sleep. A shapeless energy. A voice of flow. He was here before the elements could emerge. Before there was life, or life would be. A complex of cosmic huge potentials. His sentences he turns in real shapes and makes the simple equal to the truth. He gives to his timeless plots form and time.
Thank you. Let's pause. So Sri Aurobindo is telling us that here in this physical world in which we live, each thing are figures of the soul transcendent one. Everything is simply a shape, an appearance, a manifestation of the one. Only by him they are. His breath is their life. An unseen presence molds the oblivious clay. The outer form, the clay, the body, is oblivious of the spirit within, supporting it. It's not conscious of it. And then he says, a playmate in the mighty mother's game. So this spirit, this transcendent one, has come into this world as a playmate of the mighty mother. She is nature. She is the force that shapes, that makes all of these outer forms. But he is the spirit that fills them. This spirit, one came upon the dubious whirling globe to hide from her pursuit in force and form. So this dubious whirling globe is this kind of questioning or questionable world in which we live, where things are not quite what they seem. And he, as the Spirit, is hiding from her pursuit, from nature's pursuit, from the mother's pursuit. He's hiding in her force and forms. He is the secret spirit in the inconscient sleep, a shapeless energy, a voiceless word. He was here before the elements could emerge, before there was light of mind or life could breathe. So he was here from the beginning, the Spirit, before even these forms appeared.
I think that's so important. He was here, and the consciousness, the transcendental one, was before you, before all life delivered. I think normally they think, oh, it's all coming up, and then there's something. Wasn't the presence of transcendental one.
That's what we call it the source, no? The source of the universe itself.
And then he says, accomplice of her cosmic huge pretense. A pretense is kind of a claim that's not supported by fact or truth. Something kind of put forward as a proposition or a show or an appearance. So he's an accomplice of this cosmic pretense.
We have a new word for that now. Hologram.
Oh.
Who is he here? The divine or the spirit?
Well, he's talking about the Spirit, the accomplice. The accomplice is the Spirit, the soul transcendent one who is here in the world as its Spirit.
The source, no?
Normally, he said it to the spirit and E for the divine. Normally.
But these are just words, no?
No, but we are trying to understand. The
Yes.
was all words.
It's the one. We call it the one, no?
I'm asking.
Okay.
Yeah, it says in that second line, it's the soul transcendent one. That's how he calls him there. But he also refers to it in this impersonal sense, an unseen presence, a secret spirit. So he uses all these terms to express, to identify this being or this spirit. It says, his semblances he turns to real shapes. Semblances, again, are kind of outward appearances that may not be true. They're not exactly what they seem to be. They seem to be, kind of ignorant beings like us, kind of moving through struggle and pain. But it's not just simply that. They are all semblances, appearances of this one spirit. But he turns these semblances to real shapes. his presence and makes the symbol equal with the truth.
So that's very important, equal to the truth. So we're not just pure illusion.
Correct. So these appearances are like symbols, but the symbols he's turned to realities. They are real. He gives to his timeless thoughts a form in time. So what were just kind of things in his consciousness as thoughts become real here in the world. Real symbols. Symbol acts, he uses the term.
So the semblances are not semblances in.
They're both.
They're both.
They're both.
Yeah, they're kind of symbolic of kind of certain thoughts or movements of the consciousness. Their appearances, in the sense, they're not quite what they seem to us. Here, living on the surface of our consciousness, things are not what they seem. The reality is different. In that sense, they're not true. But deep within, he is supporting that. The reality is behind everything.
Yes, I think this one synthesizes the view of the old yogas that everything is just pure illusion, no?
Yeah.
So it's not just pure illusion.
Reality is also.
Yes, but there is a paradox of it's a seeming illusion, but it's still real, like in Satchitananda, the being is there.
Yeah, when this semblance increases in consciousness, it comes towards the truth. I think that's the. We start being inconscient and then we are like symbols and just semblance, like pretense and all that. But when the spirit rises in consciousness, then it comes nearer its truth. So that's why T is small here. My own truth, my soul's truth.
Yes, yes. Your grain of truth.
That's how it seems to you, or that may be how we experience it. But he was saying that truth, that reality was here even before all these forms.
T, truth with capital T.
Yeah.
He's already involved in it even before it began.
Anandi, would you like to continue there? It's the fourth line from the top.
536. He is the substance.
He is the substance.
536.
531.
Has entered with silence.
No.
Line 536.
Page.
536. No, page number 61, line 536. Oh, page number 61. Line. Yeah.
He is the substance.
Thank you. He's the substance, he the self of things. She has poured from him her world of skill and might. She wraps him in the magic of her morals, and makes of his myriad truths her countless dreams. The master being has come down to her, an immortal child born in the fugitive years, in objects dry, in the person she conceives, this she grasps an idea of him, and catches here a look and there a guess. Ever she repeats in them his ceaseless birth. He's the maker and the world is made. He's the vision and he's the seer. He's himself the actor and the actor. He's himself the knower and the known. He's himself the dreamer and the dreamer.
Thank you. So again, the spirit, he says, is the substance. He is the self of things. And she, nature, the mother, she has forged from him her works of skill and might. So from that substance, she has put it into shapes and forms. And then she wraps him in the magic of her moods. She wraps him in these forms and shapes and makes of his myriad truths her countless dreams. She's giving form to his myriad truths, his many infinite number of truths. She forges shapes to represent them. These are her countless dreams. And then
so it all comes through the transcendent one, through
Through the
through the yes, through the spirit.
the he and she, no?
he's kind of identifying the spirit as kind of the ground, the substance from which all is shaped. And then the master of being, he has come down to her, an immortal child born in the fugitive years. So even this transcendent one comes down into her forms.
What was said in the fugitive years? What is it?
Fugitive are of short duration. So they're passing.
Short, what?
Duration.
Short time. But I thought fugitive was running away from something.
That's another meaning. That's another meaning, but kind of also fleeting like that.
He's not finished. Listening.
What is when he talking, who just talk to others? Thanks.
moving, and then, but in relation to time, of short duration. It's changing, always, time is always moving. So he's the one transcendent, eternal, timeless, but he's come into time and is born in time also.
Okay, thank you.
In objects wrought, that are kind of forged, shaped, as in a smithy. In the persons she conceives. Dreaming she chases her idea of him, and catches here a look and there a jest. Ever he repeats in them his ceaseless birth. So she's giving form to all these ideas of his representations, of his consciousness. She gives them a shape, and then she's kind of seeking for him in those.
The word dreaming is quite important there. No? It means it's not just a machinery or something which is like a robot or something, but it's a living being that is conceiving something or dreaming of something. So there is like a dynamic aspect to the dreaming part.
But a dream that's real somehow.
The vision of something, now there's the potential of it happening. You know? Beautiful, isn't it? It's so dynamic.
And then he's kind of, in these next lines, is saying that these two aspects are one, in a sense, this he and she, because he is the maker and the world he made. He is the vision and he is the seer. He is himself the actor and the act, himself the knower and the known, himself the dreamer and the dream. And then in the next line he continues.
Ever he repeats in them. What is this going then?
I'm not sure where the them, which line you're at.
Ever he repeats in them.
In those persons she conceives.
All of us.
Nitya, would you? There are two who are one.
There are two who are and play many words. In knowledge and ignorance they had spoken and met. And light and darkness are their eyes interchanged. Our pleasure and pain are they wrestle and embrace. Our peace, our hopes are intimate to their tale. They are hid secretly in our thought and life. The universe is an endless masquerade. For nothing here is other in what it seems. It is a dream-fact vision of a truth which but for the dream would not be wholly true. A phenomenon stands out significant against dim backgrounds of eternity. We accept its face and pass by all its needs. A part is seen, We take it for the whole.
Thank you. Our logic here may fail us because there are two who are one. So, and this whole world is kind of the play of these two who ultimately are one. They play in many worlds. We'll see in the next book all the many worlds in which they play. In knowledge and in ignorance, light and darkness, are their eyes interchange. So again, we can just refer to this as that soul transcendent one and the mighty mother. These are two who are one. The spirit or the soul and nature.
Or matter.
Ultimately, they are one. That nature that is an expression of that one transcendent spirit. It's an outer expression. He is himself the dreamer and the dream. These are all his dreams, but he has become that also. The universe is an endless masquerade, kind of a disguise. Masquerade is kind of a party in which everybody wears masks, disguises. For nothing here is utterly what it seems to be. It is a dream fact, a vision of a truth. That's quite a line right there.
In fact, it's quite a contradiction.
But for the Supreme, his thoughts, his dreams become realities, or are realities.
However, the twin fact may be understood in the synthesis of yoga. Auroville speaks about the four states of consciousness, of sleep. I don't remember the terms, the Sanskrit terms.
Sleep, dream.
And there is a state in the train which is extremely high and which is very high state in the trees. I forgot the Sanskrit terms. And they are trained sleep and fact are one in this state.
Because now the experience is one is the purpose of sleep originally was meant to go such as that and then get rest and come back. We go.
Get rest during our sleep. We can go.
Not just one level, no.
We can go into that.
Many different levels that you go through. The vital level, the mental level, no. Many different levels.
But we can enter into that spirit, that underlying spirit, from any level. There's a beautiful image that the mother made of this once, where she speaks of a ladder leaning against a wall. And the steps of the ladder are all the different levels of consciousness. But you can slip through at any level and touch that wall.
Yes.
That wall represents the spirit or the Satchidananda. So we can have an experience of that actually at any level. We don't have to climb to the summit to experience it. But our experience at the summit will be different, will be touching, I don't know. It'll be a different kind of experience. But we can touch that. But this image here, this dream fact vision of a truth, which but for the dream would not be wholly true. It's still kind of a movement of consciousness and could change, or, it's a phenomenon stands out significant against dim backgrounds of eternity. We see the outer appearances of life, of people around, but the background of eternity we don't see. What is all supporting this? We accept its face and pass by all its means. A part is seen, we take it for the whole. We see the outer physical universe, we study it, analyze it, we think that's all there is. But how is that supported? What's its origination? Where is it headed? Where is it going?
In page 295, there is also the figure of that plus 2 in 1. I have not taken.
Yes. So later,
line 217, the figure of the that plus 2 in 1. The single being in two bodies clasped. The divinity of two united souls.
Yeah, after Aswapati's journey through all of these worlds, he finally comes to a certain summit and he sees this two in one, this being in two bodies.
And here the part you say in the physical world, but I think it's part of your truth. You see part of you, that's my truth, see the whole truth. He's referring to the truth also,
Yeah.
the physical world.
The small t truth.
I think also that is an important point to change consciousness. For me, these two lines, the phenomenon stands out significant against the backgrounds of eternity. Always to learn to step back and to see the over this scene and day, and then to see the figures and the thing which is moving. So I think it's very significant two lines from.
For the four lines, no? All the way to the full stop, which is very significant. This is the, mostly our stages at the moment, no? At the moment, this is our stage now where we seem to perceive everything that we see now as just our only truth.
Yeah, till we live in that consciousness of the divine, we only are seeing kind of this outer aspect, outer appearances.
One thing is that line 554, our pleasure and pain are their vessel and embrace. Um, the order of words might sound silly, but while pleasure matches with vessel and pain with the embrace.
That's 554. Our pleasure and pain are their wrestle and embrace.
Yes.
You got it?
554.
554.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, here, all these experiences that we have, again, all of this is kind of a masquerade of these two beings behind. So we're like the masks, we're the outer appearances. And pleasure and pain, all of these experiences, these also are like surface appearances of the play of these two, of spirit and nature.
Yeah, my question was, we generally associate pleasure with embrace and pain with wrestle. The order of the words
Are different.
And now, because between them is
Oh,
it
oh,
doesn't say or, it says and. So you can
no, he's just changed the order, but the wrestle is more the pain, with the pain, right? The pleasure is more associated with the embrace. You don't have to have it, in the same order.
but it's both there.
And I think also the mother expressed pleasure and pain, or pleasure and pain has the same energy. It can quickly change from one to the other.
With a special thing. And it's not or, it's like and.
Okay, we can continue. Would you please read?
Thus had they made their play with us follows. Author and actor with himself as seen. He moves there as the soul, as nature she. Here on the earth, where we must fill our hearts. We know how shall run the drama's course. Our uttered sentences veiled in their thought. Her mighty plan she holds back from our sight.
She has concealed her glory and her bliss, and disguised the love and wisdom in her heart. Of all the marvel and beauty that are hers, only a darkened little we can feel. He too wears a diminished Godhead here. He has forsaken his omnipotence. His God he has forgone and infinity. He knows her only. He has forgotten himself. To her he abandons all to make her great.
Thank you. So we're given this image, in a way again, of this masquerade, of this drama or show, where the divine is the author and actor with himself as seen. So all is him. He molts there as the soul, as nature she. And then he brings it to us here on earth, where we must fill our parts. We're like actors in this play. We know not how shall run the drama's course. Our uttered sentences veil in their thought. I mean, I'm not sure exactly, but we speak, but we don't understand fully what we're saying or why. Something like that.
This is a partial understanding. That's why it's a veil. It's not the fullness of it. It's not there. It's veiled.
But it's our impossibility that only can be darkened by not light. It's our impossibility, no?
It's possible.
No, the mother of God. We cannot, no? That's my question. He's doing this extra step, or we cannot take it back.
There's this drama going on. Eventually she will reveal, because she is also kind of seeking him. So eventually she unveils when the time is there, when the time is right. But we don't know how it will go. Her mighty plan she holds back from our sight. And she has concealed her glory and her bliss. This Divine Mother also is full of knowledge, of bliss. But she doesn't manifest all of that here in our world. She has disguised the love and wisdom in her heart. And of all the marvel and beauty that are hers, only a darkened little we can feel. Of course, she manifests the divine on all different levels in many worlds. Here, we're in the material world, a world of ignorance, a world of pain and suffering. But she has other worlds where she manifests much higher, greater, diviner powers. And he too wears a diminished Godhead here. He has forsaken his omnipotence. His calm he has forgone, and infinity. He knows her only. He has forgotten himself. That spirit within has identified himself with this outer nature, with this outer ignorant nature. To her he abandons all to make her great. He gives up his infinity, his bliss, his divine knowledge, his divine power. He gives that all and identifies with you and me to become like us.
Now is the last line. Abandon all to my good. Fantastic.
Well, it's good in a way, no, Larry? Otherwise, if everything was here, then what's the point of life, no?
Yeah, he's kind of given full freedom to nature to create all the different things she wants to create. You create, you be free.
But Auroville in Savitri teach also some men and women. The man learn is very, very important this aspect. Relation of spiritual.
Because all these things that he's talking about, it's us, no?
Mm.
In our limitation.
Yes, he's given freedom to be even like us.
It's good in a way, otherwise.
And he supports, so he is supporting also us in our limitation. No?
Yeah, that is why drama is meaningful, no?
Yes.
Drama is having meaning. This is the meaning.
Challenging.
So.
This is he, the consciousness, no? And she, the consciousness force, or the force.
Yeah.
It's not only male, female.
Yeah.
I think the male is the soul generally.
Right.
The female is the prakriti. It's not male and female, but both are existing. Nature is the divine mother incarnate, and the soul is the Lord who has become the soul.
Yes, he will, Sri Aurobindo will repeatedly refer to he and she, the spirit or soul, and nature or the mother. Suraj, would you? Ganga Lakshmi.
I think it's important to reflect by oneself, the own consciousness and what attracts one to do or to move. So the own relation between this two sides.
He hopes now to find self anew. Incarnate ready his infinity's peace. To have creative passions, ecstasy.
also possessor of earth and events, a lead towards the cosmic management, and watch all the witnesses of her sin. The supreme mirror of her stage, he speaks no words or hides behind the wings. He takes birth in our world, waits on our will. Divine, her enigmatic gesture, signs. The fluctuating chance turn of her mood walks out there. Maybe she seems not to move, and sets her sacred purpose in a long time.
We were told that in the previous line that he abandons all to make her great. And then here he gives some reason for that. He hopes in her to find himself anew, incarnate, wedding his infinity's peace to her creative passion's ecstasy. So she creates these myriad worlds and all of this struggle and suffering and slow evolution through all the different forms, types of life. But he is kind of looking to identify, to unite that spirit, that consciousness, with her creative passion's ecstasy. And although he is...
It came to me just now what you just said. No? This is not the process why we incarnate again and again. And we reach in one incarnation in consciousness, and then this Shakti and the nature is moving on and changing. So when we incarnate, we have to I would say, explore it anew. Again, it is not finished, always it goes on.
Yeah, we haven't wedded that spirit, our soul, with that nature as yet. The two haven't become one. So we continue rebirth after rebirth until we can unite those two.
No, I think that's there in the coming life. Until you find the self, and then it becomes a king. Then it becomes a king of nature.
And remember also that the mother said she has so many incarnations, and always she learns something new. So that this aspect.
The point of incarnation, according to me, is like you have new experiences. In the same set of your initial soul's journey, in the next incarnation, you want to have different experiences. Sit back in the drama home.
Because we're also part of that incarnation. We are that incarnation.
So this spirit is possessor of the earth and heavens, but he leaves to her, to the mother, to nature, the cosmic management. And he watches all, the witness of her scene. So he stands back and lets nature work, dream, create, and he observes and watches. And he stands behind, speaking no words, hiding behind the wings of the play, just watching. So even within us, no? The spirit is there, standing behind the wings, behind the veil. We don't see, but he's watching our life, our development, our drama, all of these things. He lets it go. He observes, he's just watching the play.
What is a supernumerary?
A supernumerary is like an extra in a drama. So they sometimes will just hire some kind of people to fill in, to be part of a crowd or something in a play.
Superannuation is retired basically. You get superannuation if you are retired. You are there.
Surplus. It's surplus.
Yeah, it's an extra, kind of extra actor. It's not one of the hired.
Not acting, just observing.
Auroville uses beautiful words.
We don't get boring.
No.
So it's like that. He just stands, he's a kind of an extra in the play, just kind of standing back, maybe not speaking anything, no words.
Yes.
He takes birth in her world, waits on her will. He's kind of waiting for her to carry on, get to the point. Divines her enigmatic gestures sense.
Wow.
So that means he reads. He divines means he kind of uncovers or discovers her mysterious gestures, sense, the meaning of her movements, the fluctuating chance turns of her mood, works out her meanings she seems not to know,
Yes, it's so interesting.
and serves her secret purpose in a long time.
You know why I laugh, Larry? Because when you look at all the living beings on earth, no, all sorts of forms, insects, animals, plants, it's like unbelievably, like, what is all this, no? It's like amazing. It's like,
So here, serves for the secret purpose. She is talking about she's serving her purpose or he serves her purpose?
He's serving her purpose.
Or she's serving her purpose? I'm confused.
No, he is serving her secret purpose.
He's doing this, and he serves.
Yeah, the soul comes. See, I think this is the way that I'm kind of looking at it, is that we also, as human beings at this point, we read nature. We try to understand nature. And we try to master nature. And we harness the forces of nature. We do that. And yet, we're serving her purposes. We're still part of nature. You know, it's the soul within us that is kind of doing this. We're still serving her higher purposes, to become conscious, to become, to wed that consciousness with the force. Her ultimate purpose, what she kind of said before. So her secret purpose in a long time, through the course of evolution, again, was to marry that conscious spirit with her creative ecstasy, unite the soul with nature. Mark, would you continue?
As one to pray for him, he worships her. He adores her as his regent of desire. He yields to her as a mover of his will. He burns the incense of his nights and days, offering his life as method of sacrifice, a rapt solicitor of her love and praise. His bliss her to him is his whole world. He glows through her in all his being's powers. He reads by her God's hidden aim in things, or could hear in her countless weaponry, content to be with her and fear her near. He makes the most of the little that she gives, and all she does breaks with his own delight. A glance can make his whole day wonderful. A word from her lips with happiness rings the hours. He leans on her for all he does and is. He builds on her righteousness his proud fortunate days, and trails his peacock plumage's joy of life, and suns in the glory of her passing smile. In a thousand ways he serves her royal needs. He makes the hours pivot around her will, makes all reflect her will, all is set place. This whole wide world is only he and she. The first line, as one too great for him. The verse, can you please explore more?
Great for himself.
Well, I've been thinking of the spirit as if, now think of the spirit without nature, without expression. It would just, this silent, conscious being. The spirit is there. It exists, standing, let's say, back from nature. But without nature, what would he be? I mean, he, without any kind of form, expression, it would be kind of an emptiness, you know. It would be
Yes.
boring, maybe.
Yes, exactly. Boring. No pleasure.
So he's created, he's given, he has this nature, and she expresses him in countless ways, infinite ways. So she is really great for him. I mean, because now he can take birth in her worlds and he can enjoy all of these different things. He can.
In different realizations that you make, that you can see in the record of yoga and right here also, it is said that the last one, the highest one, was the mother at the top.
Yeah, the culmination of Asupati's journey, he goes into the silent self, but also there he feels that there's something missing. And then he goes to the world soul and finds the mother. And there he falls at her feet. That beauty, that love, that.
And there is also this, in telegraphic terms, in the report of yoga, he speaks about that realization. So perhaps he was interested in that.
Well, surely he had the experience.
So in a way, it's the great honor of the creation, how colorful. I mean, as you said also, how King Aswapati went to all many worlds, so many experiences, and then something with him also developed more, or he explored more.
And we see Sri Aurobindo in Savitri, I mean, he's celebrating this Divine Mother, right? And all her worlds and all of these things. He goes through all of these experiences, travels through all the worlds, meets all these beings, encounters all these difficulties and ecstasies. He goes through all of that. And he celebrates that. And yet, there's always still that kind of aim to divinize that, to marry that spirit and nature.
Your description is like it takes birth in a world wet on a reed. 589. It takes birth in a world.
Yeah.
So it takes, but the listener, I love so much secret knowledge.
This 9602, I thought everything is he and she. Now he's introduced God also in it. See the science. Is there any reason? He reads God's hidden alien things. So he's introduced God also with Captain G.
But he also showed Vito is she.
No, that is.
You know, one time mother entered in his room and Shobito put Sari of the mother. And now it's very, very interesting. You said he and she, but he's a both inside him. He's not externally, he's a he, she, and he. But
inside this box from
That is clear to everybody. What I'm pointing out thing is, in this context, it was always he and she and the divine and unmanifested and the nature or Shakti. And now he's introducing another word, God. I'm asking, is there any reason for that?
Well,
That's my point.
let me try to explain. I think he talked about this soul coming into nature, and he also wearing a diminished form here. He has foregone his infinity, right? He comes into the world as the soul. Yeah, as the soul of the human being. But that soul is not the full God.
Okay,
So he's also trying, to realize God. Our souls are trying to realize God. What does he say?
Her God.
He reads by her God's hidden aim.
So God is for him like the soul, for the soul incarnated in human beings. For him, he's not doing anything. So he's thinking of God as knowing everything. So that he's trying to divine his nature's things.
Our souls are also trying to understand what God's aim in all of this is. No?
He himself is God. But anyway, in that incarnation, he is not God, so he's trying to understand what God wants.
But here in the world, he wears a diminished form.
We wear a diminished form.
It's him, ultimately it's God. But he's kind of wearing, in our world, he's wearing a diminished form of himself.
We're still self-limited. So
Yeah, I think he's playing the game with nature,
Mm.
and at the end of the drama, he doesn't know. He's trying to maybe God know.
It says he too wears a diminished Godhead here. He has forsaken his omnipotence. His calm he has forgone, and infinity. He knows her only.
I think that's the process in another part here we telling God's immortal our forgotten vastnesses, a late discovery in our sun itself, for every one of us. So when we incarnate, we forget the immortal aspect and we come down from the higher realm.
So,
But our logic is limited here.
yes.
Because we have he and she who are one, and we have God. So, what are we going to do? This is poetry, not a logic exam.
But many are already waking up, no? So this is the thing.
so he reached by her, means through her or
Through her forms, through her events. Through the course of her development in evolution.
Can you also understand, and all she does breaks with his own delight. What is this process? 606. Page 63, exactly.
Well, underlying, one second.
606.
Underlying all of existence is this delight, Satchidananda. It's supporting. So even though here in the world we suffer and we have kind of diminished forms of that we experience, still that delight that underlies everything somehow is also supporting.
There is usually an image given in the ancient Hindu texts where there's a tree and there's two birds sitting, and one is eating the mango fruit, and one is sort of looking from above and enjoying the whole thing. So it's always in bliss and as a witness, and that's why we have this pain and pleasure and difference. Everything is. But the nature
So that spirit is observing and enjoying that play of nature.
Ananda, no?
A solicitor is a lawyer.
Huh?
A solicitor.
Oh, well, not necessarily, no. I mean, anyone who solicits, yes.
And a courtier.
Courtier, yeah. Courtier is a attendee of the royal court. And a retinue is a group of attendants. And then there's another meaning. One who practices flattery. So sometimes these attendants in the royal court, will lavish praise on people to win their affections. So here in the world, he's content to be with her and feel her near, and he makes the most of the little that she gives. That's us. We kind of enjoy all the little pleasures of life, no? And a glance can make his whole day wonderful. It's like us, some girl we like and she glances. The whole day is wonderful.
It's contrary. He lives on der Larche with his Brautforschung days, and this play of feelings and on both sides.
Her largesses, this is her generosity. She is giving all these things of life to us. So he builds on those.
And Diana 606. And all she does drapes with his own delight. Drape means like wrapping oneself with like a scarf.
Yeah, covers, yeah.
Like whatever she gives, she adds her own life, or she adds this. So she's adding his happiness to whatever she's giving, basically. That's sweetheart. Like a glance, and she adding his own meaning to whatever good she does. So he adds to the delight what she's giving. He means that.
I think so. Because that delight is always there. It's in everything. That's why those smiles can be so beautiful, that secret delight is behind them. So I think we stop there for today.
But why she is using capital and small last sentence? I would have thought she said capital H and capital S. Ultimately, he and she. But now he's.
But he has been using small throughout.
Yeah, it's always interchangeable.
He and she, I mean, he's referring he and she many times.
We're still limited.
No, but he's talking about the entire thing, this play of divine and Shakti. So
I think to my understanding, when Sri Aurobindo uses capital letters, it always refers to it comes from the supreme at that level. The Ishvara and Shakti at that level, the mother and Sri Aurobindo. And when it keeps coming down at lower levels and the ignorance, especially the material level, he uses small the gods, and we said his capitals reach more the higher consciousness. The same gods at elemental levels become symbols.
Yes. Because it seems that humans forget that we are that. That tamamasi. You are that. Humans seem to.
Let's say this because what we want through Savitri, he uses, maybe we'll see whether it affects that or not. Generally, he sometimes the translator who has made this, he interchange between capitals and small capitals.
Yeah, because here
it's clear. It's not linked to the highest, so it's
the
small.
soul and nature.
Yeah. The soul also he likes capitalized. Anyway, it's confusing.
Latin is too much complex. Because the essence
Yeah, we understand. Right.
Okay, please. Yes.
A shapeless memory lingers in us still, and sometimes when our sight is turned within, earth's ignorant veil is lifted from our eyes. There is a short, miraculous escape. souls can visit in great lonely hours still regions of imperishable light, all seeing eagle peaks of silent power, and moon flame oceans of swift, fathomless bliss and calm immensities of spirit space. In moments when the inner lamps are lit and the life's cherished guests are left outside, our spirit sits alone and speaks to its ghost.
Thanks to Sri Aurobindo.